October 6th, Canadian Plastics Magazine hosted the 16th annual Resin Outlook Conference in Toronto. Resin purchasers and other industry insiders turned out to hear some pricing forecasts, economic predictions, and more from a wide variety of industry experts. CPIA President and CEO Greg Wilkinson kicked off the day's events, summarizing some of the big threats facing the plastics industry and giving attendees some information on recent CPIA initiatives to counter them.
The single most important thing that we do, and the single most important thing for our industry, is how we handle the post-use issue. I think of it as our existential issue. If we handle this well, the industry has a very positive future ahead. If we don't, we are fundamentally threatened. This is, all of the studies show that this is what people's basic concern about plastics is. It's not whether it is beneficial in use. They get that. It's the guilt, the concern, what happens to it when I'm done with it? Where does it go? We're an advocate for the industry. We're working across Canada, but we're linking arms with the US to be more efficient and effective in delivering our messages. We're promoting the brand of plastics wherever we can. We're pushing the positive messages. And of course, there are always issues, things like bag bans and other concerns that come up that we work on. So our job is to be the advocate for the industry and to tell the story. We think we have a great story, and we think that the industry has a bright future.
Next up, David Tulk, Senior Macro Strategist with TD Financial Group, outlined the full measure of uncertainty of today's global economy, but also tried to draw out some positives for the attendees.
So what are we looking at today? Well, unfortunately, it's been a very difficult period of time. We've seen things economically that I don't think anyone really had expected to see. We've seen the response of policymakers who have done things that, again, they've never tried before. All of the standard rules of thumb, all of the standard economic models that we've all focused on and have learned in school and have applied diligently in a professional context, they've all broken down. We really are flying blind. I think one thing I can say with a fair degree of certainty is that the Canadian economy over the medium term is very well positioned. I think now is the time for Canadian firms to look a little bit more broadly, to take advantage of the ability to diversify into Asia, into China, into other economies, trying to come over the natural inertia of just shipping stuff north-south, to start looking at these new opportunities, because you can think and you can see fairly clearly that the balance of power globally over a longer horizon is shifting further towards these economies. So that's the type of incentive that I think we need to respond to help ensure that the Canadian economy can be more resilient to issues in the US.
Other speakers gave pricing forecasts on a wide range of resins, including polyethylene, polypropylene, nylons and polycarbonates, polystyrene, PET, and PVC.
First thing I want to say is I think polystyrene is going to start growing again globally. It grew fairly modestly through the 90s and then leveled off in the 2000s. And of course dipped in 2008 and 9 as most everything did with the economy. But we're looking globally at a modest growth rate coming through 2016. Why is the growth going to be modest? We're still under a lot of competitive pressure from other materials. Capacity is rather limited. We're looking at further rationalization and consolidation. The feedstock supply it's becoming fairly tight and very pricey. And we've also got some environmental issues that we may have to address.
Really, when you look at the polyethylene market, generally speaking, there are a huge number of factors, of course. Polyethylene is pervasive in the overall economy. And just about anything you can think of is going to affect the market. The fundamental driver of what's happening in industrial production is a combination of a couple of things. One thing is the automotive industry is still in strong recovery mode. Sales are building. There's pent-up demand for automobiles. And we see that situation continuing at least through 2012, and to a significant degree. And I think that bodes well for, for the economy in Southern Ontario. And also, the weakness in the U.S. dollar, the general weakness in the U.S. dollar has improved U.S. exporters' situation. Of course, it hasn't been as good for Canadian producers or Canadian manufacturers exporting into the U.S., but the U.S. export growth has been really quite strong, and we see that also continuing.
For more information from the Resin Outlook Conference, pick up the November 2011 issue of Canadian Plastics Magazine.